Welcome to the Seattle International Film Festival, our 47th edition here in the virtual world. My name's Dustin Kaspar. I'm Educational Programs Manager and a programmer with the festival. And you are here for tonight's live Q&A of All Those Small Things, a film that is world premiering here at the festival. And I am super, super excited to have a quintet of fabulous people from the film's production here with us tonight. Before we get to them, I would love to encourage you. This is a webinar. We cannot see you. We see that you're out there, and we're delighted that you're here. There are a variety of ways to interact with us throughout the next hour. The first of which, and probably the most important of which, is the Q&A portal. At any point, if you have a question that comes to your head around the film, preferably, although tangential questions, who knows, maybe we'll answer them, and submit them into the Q&A portal. There's also a chat portal, and the chat portal is a great place to talk amongst yourselves. You're welcome to change the little blue bar in the chat from panelists, which means it only comes to us, to panelists and attendees, and that will then be sent out to everyone who is in attendance here at the Q&A. Please keep it respectful as always, and but yeah, great place to engage with others. You can also, but please feel free to use the Q&A portal for questions. That'll help us keep them, in one place and make sure that we get to them throughout our time. So, without too much further ado, we've got a wide variety of guests here. I would love to have them each kind of introduce themselves. And I would love to start with Andrew Hyatt, the director, screenwriter, producer. Say hello and tell us a little bit of where this story came from ultimately. Was this a Pat Sajak anecdote that became
There is my tripod.
Real life?
My tripod.
Sure. Yeah, no, thank you, Dustin, for having us here and for a wonderful festival that's been going on. And I'm Andrew Hyatt. I'm the writer director. James, you got to meet yourself, my beautiful friend. There you go. We did it. This is going to be a fun night, as we can all already tell. And I see the comments already. Oh my goodness, already beautiful comments already. So no, thank you, Dustin. So basically, the origin of this story was James and I had a wonderful time making a film together, Paul Apostle Christ, a Sony Pictures film. We were in Malta together, and James and I got to know each other so well. Just a wonderful friend, a wonderful collaborator, and we I don't know if James will remember this, but we had a late night conversation where James was talking to me about his career and his amazing sort of legacy and 45 plus years in the industry. And the thing that came out of that conversation was a beautiful moment of us sort of thinking about this idea that as human beings, what is our purpose here? What are we doing here? What are we going to do at the end of it all? Are we going to leave a legacy? Are we going to change the world? Are we going to, all these things, big questions that scratch the surface of all of us. And it made me think, I need to write a film about this. I need to sort of not make it about an actor. I need to make it about, say, a game show host, as you say, Pat Sajak, and just sort of where are we at the end of our lives? What are the questions that we all have? What are the things that we're going to have to sort of come to terms with? And James, being such the amazing thespian that he is, has sort of inspired me to make this film happen. So that's where it all sort of originated, and then obviously we had many things happen from there. And I'd love everybody to chime in about just sort of this process, because it's so hard to get an independent film made. And here we are being able to show it to audiences at this festival. And what a gift. What an amazing gift.
Yeah, well, and from that, let's jump to Knuppe Imoru. Knuppe, you were both the executive producer and producer on the film, casting as well as appearing in a small role. Getting this film off the ground, getting it made from the germination of the idea that Andrew and James had. When did you get involved, and how did that? How did you get this extraordinary plane off the ground?
Thank you. It's good to be here. Well, I'm with the one half of Rebel Cat Productions. My business partner, Rebecca Petriello, is the other half, and we finance this. And so the first thing I did was, we were looking for a script, and it's funny that Andrew should mention big questions, because that's very much what Rebel Cat is about, amongst other things, the big questions. And I read Andrew's script and did a lot of laughing and was very moved by it, very struck by it. My business partner and I talked about it, and before too long we were meeting with Andrew and also talking to James. And so that's initially how we came to it. We were looking for something that would reach, in terms of its story and its heart, a wide range of people. We also had a mission within that to, finance certain types of films. And I agree with Andrew. It's not an easy time to be making independent films, but I have to say, once you've got the right cast and once you've got an extraordinary crew, I think magic happens. And something like that feels as though it's happened with this film.
Yeah. So, and before we get to our extraordinary performers, I want to talk a little bit about casting. This film has such an incredible breadth of unique characters. It seems like a gift for a casting director. What was it like, cobbling together the variety of personalities that you needed to find to get this film together in a cast sort of way?
It was great. I love what I do. I love actors, and any actors that know me know that. And the fun part with this was casting, first of all, around James, who came with the project, and then casting in England and America. And it was magical, really, for me. In England, all those actors, I think so many actors came in to read for this. They didn't do self-tapes over there. They wanted to be seen, and they wanted to work with the caster. And then again in Seattle, Portland, and Spokane. So it was there was a lot of range that I had, and a lot of actors that came forward. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
So do it internationally.
Yeah, excellent. Well, James, let's jump in. Welcome Jonathan Robbins, James Bond, whatever we want to call you, I suppose, from the variety of aliases you get called in the film. Once you got involved in the project, and Andrew mentioned that there was a conversation that inspired it. Were you involved at all in the scripting, the coming up with the story, or was it once Andrew got done writing it, you got to become more collaborative then?
The script was entirely Andrew's. He sent me a draft. Oh, goodness me. I'm trying to think how far back it was. I think it was around January 2019. He sent me a first draft. And I was amazed that anybody should write such a film, such a story for me. And I was immediately caught by it emotionally and in terms of my own journey as a performer. He actually allowed me to make some changes from time to time and additions. The extraordinary thing about Andrew is that he mentioned that we had met in Malta on Paul, Apostle of Christ. And that was very difficult because actually on that film I was cast at fairly short notice, and playing the leading role in Paul, I had quite a lot of dialogue. And so I actually had very little time to myself. But the few moments that we did get, we found that we had remarkable similarities in our approach to work. I took away from that film Andrew's interesting portmanteau word, which is about my own ability in front of the camera. And he impressed on me the need for comfortability.
Mm.
And he drew a performance out of me as Paul, which I had never given before. And in that I had so little time to prepare, I had to let the character and the script and the letters of Paul lead me to become that individual and place myself entirely in the hands of Andrew. And I was very comfortable with that. And then he teaches me about comfortability of being completely open in front of the camera and able to speak from the heart. And people ask me how I prepared for Paul, and I said, well, I didn't. I let Paul speak through me. So Andrew writes me a script, which is a contemporary piece and essentially a comedy. I see that it's been described as a dramedy. It must be my first, but I assumed it was a comedy with some poignancy. And he developed the idea of the character from the odd late night drink on the streets of Malta. And out of the blue comes this fantastic script. As I say, I tweaked here and there, and Andrew and I have never actually had a disagreement when it comes to matters artistic, and so we moved in parallel with it. And then I had a sort of rather strange summer and autumn in 2019, and I was rushing here, there, and everywhere, and again had not enough time to get into the character, because I find it quite difficult adopting 2 or 3 different people at one time. I like to do a job and then adopt the next role. And the day before I started shooting all those small things, I was being ambushed in a village in Croatia by the Crow tribe in Tribes of Europa, in which I was General Francis F. Cameron, father of the Second Order of the Crimson Republic, and full of bullet holes. And I went straight from wherever I was to the airport in Croatia, Amsterdam, Minneapolis, into Spokane, straight to wardrobe and onto the set.
Excellent. Well,
the same dynamic, the same disciplines that were employed on Paul then applied to all those small things. That is, you do 10, 12, 14 hours on the set, go home, have supper, 2 hours on the script, go to bed, straight to work. But it got me into it, and it was such easy dialogue. And I put in a couple of things from my own life, especially about my early career as an actor. And then we'd introduce this schism. Does this man have a real career as an actor, or does he just take the money? And he takes the money and he becomes a game show host.
Yeah.
Always with that caveat at the back of his mind. I could have done something different. I could have done something better. And Andrew wrote a wonderful story about this man who's has become completely disassociated as a result.
Yeah. And
then he goes on his own journey, and he allows people into his life that he would never ordinarily give the time of day to, and it changes him. And this is entirely Andrew's idea, and the film works, I think, and it unfolds really rather beautifully with a wonderful cast with whom I react to and with.
Yeah. And let's bring them in here. Kerry, say hello. Remind us your role in the film. Although obviously your fan club, who is here en masse, knows who you are. But, tell us a little bit about you and how you got involved in the film.
Sure. Thank you everyone for coming, first of all. And so I play Ruby, and I got a audition notice. I remember my manager had actually had submitted me, and then he called me up and he's like, hey, this is a really great role. Like, I really just think you're perfect for. And he actually knew James. He'd worked with James's manager before he went off on his own, and he was like, you know, I'm really going to push for this one. And so I got the audition, and Knuppe had me reread actually, and just kind of like do it a different way. So I did a little callback, and this was all with tape. And then yeah, and I remember when I got the script, my manager and I were talking about it, and we were like, man, if they can, Chris was like, you know, James is awesome. Like, I know he's like an awesome actor. If they can find the part for Tiny Hammer, like, this will be a solid, awesome, you know, movie. And then, you know, they found Aaron, and so that was pretty cool. And yeah, so I play Ruby.
Excellent. And now it's time to talk to Aaron, and Aaron left. Good. Okay. Aaron's back again. Let's talk with Tiny Hamster. Hello, Aaron.
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm great. What was your, when did you get involved in the film? And tell us a little bit about creating Dennis. From is he cut from your own cloth, or is he a complete alternate self?
Oh, I'm a nut. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm a nut, bro. So I got this from my agent. I got this audition. When I read this role, the script was the scene where he's talking about the balls wrapping around, and I said, I have to have this role. I was in LA at the time, and I was working on something. I got this script, and I said, I want this role. I have to get this role. So I went to my buddy's house, and we built with it. We worked with it. Man, this is by far one of my favorite roles that I have played, because I am out there. I'm an out there kind of guy. I am eccentric. I am a little bit of extra. So it wasn't hard to tap into him, but I really wanted to find Tiny Hammer. So there's two differences. There's Dennis Wade, the human, then there's Tiny Hammer, the performer. So in order for me to get into the mindset of this guy, I wrote music for him. So when I read the script, and after I got the role, I said, hey, Andrew, why don't I just like, I think I just started sending stuff to Andrew, actually. I was like, hey, check this out. And I literally wrote Mother Goose, the song that's in the movie. I found a rap, a big band, whatever beat, and I just recorded it and sent it over to him. And I said, hey, you know I make music too, right? So then I was fortunate enough for them to collaborate with them and then feature some of my music and actually write for the characters. So that's how I really got into the headspace of who he is that I wrote his art. I wrote his music. And it just came something like Knuppe was talking about, it really magical about this experience. I mean, this is a friggin' actor's dream to have a glass house with pictures of yourself. You know what I mean? Like, and it's crazy because when I read in the script, he's got showing James around with pictures of him as Leonardo da Vinci and stuff. I said, hey guys, I got all this artwork that I collaborated with an artist, like all that angel stuff, that came from past photo shoots with another artist that I collaborated with. I said, hey guys, I got all this art. Do you want this? And they were like, wait a minute. So by far one of my favorite experiences. So yeah, in order to get into the character, I wrote his music, and that's what really helped me come into that. And I talked with Andrew a lot because I said, this guy can't have a bad bone in his body. He's got to be completely naive and no sort of malice, because it's so easy, because he's rich and successful. It's so easy for him to come off as Justin Bieber and so unlikable. It's so easy for him because he's cool and he's got spiked hair. It's so easy for him to come off douchey, you know? And I said, we can't ever see that. He's got to be full of love and childlike innocence.
If there's anything I'm going to take away from this conversation, it's that I need to commission myself in angel art. Someday it might be used. I'm just going to say that out loud.
You know what? I'm not even going to play with you. Once this movie is distributed, I'm already considering selling one as an NFT.
There you go.
Dustin, you have no idea the surprise when I had written a script about Tiny Hammer, and then Aaron tells me I've already got the art. It's already done. How? When did this happen?
Well, Aaron, you've knocked down like 3 of my questions already because I wanted to know if you got to keep the artwork that was there, and alas,
I tracked down Nikkei, I tracked down Nikkei after the shoot, and I said, "Yo, you gotta let me have this piece of work." And I want to hit her up for more, but I ain't gonna get crazy, okay? But I said, "Nikkei, you gotta let me have this piece for my house, and it's right there, right now." And she said, "Yes." I said, "Listen, I will pay shipping, handling, whatever you need. I want this for my house, man." So yeah.
Can I jump back? I want to look at some pairs here, and James and Kerry, the 2 of you in the scenes that you have, and start obviously with a solid amount of animosity, but part of what I love about this film is the way the various permutations arc together and grow together, and I'm wondering if you 2 can talk a little bit about your process of if you got to rehearse a little bit, or if there were certain scenes that you went into cold and to get a solid amount of the kind of emotional distance, and then kind of worked together to architect the togetherness that you have by the end of the film.
Kerry,
James, what was that movie that you had me watch? Do you remember having me watch this movie? I can't remember what it's called.
Educating Rita?
Yeah, Educating Rita. And and it was just because it was this relationship where the whole you're kind of like wondering if they're, what the relationship is, especially when it's like male, female. You're always kind of like, well, what's going on there? But it never, similar to Educating Rita, it never goes anywhere other than just a friendship. And that was really a great way, I thought, to kind of start off what we ended up finding, because it kind of allowed me to be, have a relationship with Jonathan without having to have it get like anything weird or uncomfortable, which was kind of a fine line that you had to pull off.
The relationship is entirely platonic in all those small things.
Mm-hmm.
And but I wanted right at the end for there to be the possibility of all those small things again. And perhaps in a follow-up movie, in a sequel, that relationship had morphed into something else following Ruby's arrival in the UK. But there is perhaps the possibility of more to their journey. But for all those small things, it would have been an error, I think, if there had been any kind of romantic connotation to the relationship. And actually, Kerry and I met for the first time on set, but she is an extraordinary and wonderfully real actress emotionally. And the scene, we never had an issue. It was amazing. We went straight into our relationship, as did mine with Aaron, because you can imagine being confronted with Aaron for the first time, that James Faulkner, was somewhat bemused, as was Jonathan.
Bro, it was an absolute honor to work off you. Like, there was this one scene in the theater scene, bro. I saw your soul, man. I'm like, yo, you taught me so many lessons working with you, man. It was an absolute honor, dude. So.
Well, it's not everybody that can put me on the spot. Andrew's script puts me on the spot, and you delivered it.
And he let me play with the lines sometimes, and he was like, "Yeah, go for the improv." And Andrew was like, "All right, Aaron, just improvise this whole hallway, like when you walk into the house."
Yeah, but once you wind up Aaron, he can go for a long time.
Yeah.
Facts.
Can I ask Andrew, how did you meter out the intensity, I think, from Aaron? But part of one of the wonderful things about the film for me as a viewer is the fact that Aaron's there and works emotionally on a subconscious level until literally watching the movie again today and reconnecting with the fact that, like, all of a sudden he's crying and you see the soul of this character who's always been there showing his soul. And it is, Aaron, you were talking about that love that's always present, but that recognizing what is going, and it was so well calibrated throughout the film, within the editing process as well as kind of the directing process. How was it kind of metering that out throughout the creative space?
Sure. No, good question. I mean, here's the thing, we were so blessed to have incredible talent. I mean, that's the thing is when you think of Tiny Hammer and Ruby and Jonathan Robbins, there's a propensity to sort of, unfortunately, always you can go to melodramatic, you can always go over the top, you can always do that. But Kerry and Aaron and James, they're such intelligent actors. They really are. They make decisions. So people will watch this film, speaking of Aaron, they'll say, wow, Tiny Hammer, Dennis is over the top and crazy and fun and all this. But those are choices that Aaron makes. Those are very smart decisions that he makes at every moment. And that's why I love this cast. Everything is a smart decision. There's nothing there that's just, wow, this kid is over the top and I guess we'll just use him. No. Everything is specific. And so I was just so grateful to work. Kerry, James, and Aaron these are phenomenal actors. They are really at the top of their game, and I'm excited for them to see what happens next from this, because people that have watched the film, and I'm seeing the comments and these things, the reason you enjoyed them so much is because they're intelligent actors and they made the right decisions at the right moments.
Yeah. Speaking of right decisions, let's talk about ecstasy, just for the fun of it. James, how different was doing that scene from other scenes about ecstasy that you've been involved in previously?
Do you know, honestly, it's the first time that I've ever had to appear stoned, out of control in a film. And I was telling you, I have never taken ecstasy. I have absolutely no idea what it does to you. I'm so jealous of my short-term memory that I do not bombard it with anything other than the finest Burgundy.
Well done, well chosen, if I do say so myself. Creating that sequence, I mean, was it just we're going to spend a night getting shots of everything that we could possibly get shots of? And
yeah, well, there was a bit of that. I mean, there was a bit of ad lib, but I mean, it's a relatively easy thing for me because Jonathan is already bemused by Tiny Hammer, and then there are all these ghastly friends of his that show up, and I'm dealing with them at a distance, and then. It was kind of weird. I mean, I only saw the film a week ago, so I had no idea really what I was doing at that moment. And I guess that's the case if you've taken a whole load of ecstasy for the first time as an individual, and they're not short of crazy ideas, any of them.
Andrew, what was it like? Did you give your editor carte blanche to just run with that scene and see what came out of it, or did you put your hands in it?
Yeah, Gerardo Madrax, our wonderful cinematographer, had an idea for it that was going to be sort of a locked off camera that we could basically do whatever we wanted. Locked off cameras, so we can. Anytime we want to cut away, we want to move people around, we want to do all that. He had a great idea for that. And then Travis, our editor, Travis Berry, exactly. It was one of the moments in the film that was just, let's have fun with it. Let's not overthink it. Let's sort of change the tone here. Let's really dive into the Dennis, the Tiny Hammer world. And really explore it in that moment. And that was our one opportunity to really get into, Tiny Hammer's head. And then it was like, okay, after that, we're good. We get it. We get what's going on here. So yeah, just again, a wonderful collaboration. You don't have much time on these films. We're shooting quick. We got to make decisions on the fly. And that was something that I actually, watching it again, very proud of how we were able to kind of accomplish that feeling,
Yeah. And the house that you shot at, was that something did you create that yourselves? Is that just sitting there in Eastern Washington waiting to be used as a set?
Yeah, we totally built that house on a stage. Amazing. Our budget allowed for it. No, Yes, that's sitting up there on some hill in Spokane that we were grateful enough to have a team that knew that was up there. And what a location, what a house. I'm sure our cinematographer would disagree with me. You know, a glass house having to deal with all the sun and all that, but no, it was a perfect spot, perfect, exactly what we needed.
Well, and you bring up the cinematography is exceptional in the film, and Gerardo Madrazo, is that how it's pronounced, Madrazo?
Yeah.
Yeah, did such a great job. Can you talk a little bit about, you know, coming up with the visual palette for the film, kind of what you talked to Gerardo about, as well as did you do a lot of storyboarding ahead of time? How much was planned out versus kind of more organic on the set once you got there with the actors?
Sure. Yeah. No. That was our third film that Madrex and I had worked on together. So we had a shorthand, and we knew exactly what we needed out of this film. And one of the more important things was, you know, it's a film about the details, isn't it? It's a film thematically about, you know, in life we often miss the purpose of ourselves by being too focused on ourselves, and or we you know, we don't take time to take a beat. So we wanted to kind of build a palette where every detail, everything that we put on screen mattered, whether that was you know, Kerry's tattoos that are small and they seem insignificant, but they're important, whether it's the way we decided to craft the shots, whether it's the way we lit the scenes. I'm thinking the theater scene, which is beautiful, between Aaron and James in the theater. You know, you know, everything was so specific. So because of the shorthand, it was a amazing collaboration to be able to just go into places, because it was a short schedule. We had what we had, and you walk into a space and you just say, okay, we've done this 2 times before. This is our third collaboration. What do we want to do here? What do we want to do in this space? And I do think there are some special moments with the lighting and stuff. I'm actually very proud of, and I'm proud for him. I hope he's excited about specifically that theater scene, and the way that's lit is phenomenal.
Yeah, well, and there was somewhere, and I'm now gonna forget the moments, but I took real note of them earlier. One was in the pub with him sitting by himself at the very beginning, where the camera just kind of floats backwards. And there's another shot later in the film that is the same kind of exact shot. I feel like it might have been at the grave, or it was somewhere where we do another kind of pullback. I mean, there were definitely some places that looked super planned and so very effective in how they mimic different parts of the film as they repeat or are seen in a different light. It's really quite exceptional. I also wanted to talk about music. We already talked a little bit about Big Brap, which is badass. But the score for the film I found really incredible as well, especially in the way that it gives us a sense of what is coming. I mean, I remember him reading the letter the first time. We literally have the music of later in the film when he's in the more whimsical space and various things along that line. Can you talk a little bit about working with Sean and developing the kind of spotting for the film, and what directions you gave Sean?
Absolutely. No, Sean Philip Johnson is phenomenal, and second collaboration with him. So again, a shorthand, and his big thing is themes. You know, he loves building in themes. So if I introduce, you know, in his mind, if I introduce it early in the film, I want to bring it back in the most important moments. And I'll vary it. I'll start to build it. I'll start to do all that. And so I trusted him, you know, from day one, just to help me with that, start building these themes, start building Jonathan. You know, when do we need to feel emotionally connected to him, and how do we do it? And Sean really just has such a phenomenal ear and talent for being able to build that. So it was really more of a question of tonally, how the heck do you go from a emotional drama, you know, all these things, into a ecstasy scene where you have Aaron playing the bassoon, and, and how the heck do we get there? And so that was one of the biggest challenges we had. And Sean, I feel like he nailed it. He I don't want to say he created a new genre. Maybe this stuff exists out there and we didn't know it. But I remember the moment where he called me after reading the scripts and he said, so I'm reading the scene that you have with Tiny Hammer and all this, and I feel like you're asking me to create a new genre of music. And I just want to let you know that's going to be a challenge to get there. But we did get there. As you say, it was fun.
$20.
It got there.
Yeah.
If I can just get in here, having only just seen the film, I really thought that the music he put under the moment that Jonathan reads that letter, and the first inkling, the first germination, possibly, that there might be salvation, from his young fan. I thought that was wonderfully done myself.
Yeah. Well, and
the first idea that he gives, that the music really drives that. If I could also just mention Natasha Shalbert at makeup, anybody that can take 40 years off me really deserves an accolade.
Oh yeah, there are several moments where I really took heart of what Sean was doing with the film, and that's, the whole opening is so very somber. It's a dirge of a game show, which is like, these are just totally different feeling, and it's a breath of fresh air in that moment, and it kind of keeps coming back and reminding us of that, the possibility, the potential that's there in Jonathan's life.
We had no idea of the game show. It was just a game show host. There was no idea of what that game show might be. I'm thinking, well, we're going to have to come up with something here, So I'm sitting on the set in Croatia, dressed as a general, in a war bunker, surrounded by military vehicles, on a canvas chair. And I thought, come on, apply yourself. So I wrote the show, the format of the show, and drew the set on the back of my script for Tribes of Europa, and it seemed to work, because the idea of regeneration for the public library, I thought, was actually quite a mature idea for a game show. And I would love that game show to be made, because you could do a junior version of it as well and have school teams compete, because part of the game show is you have to read 6 novels. You have 30 days to read 6 novels and then answer questions on those novels. Yeah. And there was a way of letting in the publishing industry, because one of the books that you're given to read for the game show is as yet unpublished or about to be published. And so it introduces a new novel to the watching audience as well. Yeah. And I think it was, and they built me a terrific set in Spokane. And I must say that given the fact that we were a fairly light crew, I thought the support given from the crew in all areas was terrific in Spokane, and really add to the flavor of the film, its look and the way it unfolds.
And speaking of Spokane and shooting in Eastern Washington, Andrew, was this always the intention with the script, or was it once Rebel Cat came on board and North by Northwest and Rich and company there, when was Spokane the definite place for this, and what was that experience like filming in Spokane?
Yeah, no, I was grateful to meet Rich and Mark at North by Northwest, and then they introduced us to Rebecca and Nike at Rebel Cat. It was amazing to kind of go through that process. But yeah, it's a great question. When I originally conceived of it, it had to be small town America for sure, because you needed the fish out of water sort of situation with James. But if I'm honest, it became Spokane because my wife was pregnant and we were going to have the baby about the same time we were shooting. And so it sort of became a situation where, Spokane totally works for this. Let's make Spokane. This is great. And I think, I don't want to get it wrong, but it was about as close as, I think we wrapped shooting on a Tuesday, and my 4th daughter was born on that Friday. So it was it was one of those where family dictated a little bit. But again, just grateful that as the universe sort of comes together in this beautiful way. I can't imagine shooting it elsewhere. And what an amazing experience to be able to have said, we made a film in Spokane that's phenomenal, and that's we'll have to make more.
Yeah. The can I ask, because I know I've seen Gloria in the chat here. What was it like working with Gloria performing the role of the grandmother?
Yeah, Gloria is phenomenal, and it was exactly what I had in my mind when I wrote it. Just, you needed somebody with such a beautiful personality that was a little not self-aware, that just sort of loved people for who they are, and she sort of brings this beautiful element into the movie, and I love that dynamic between Kerry, and Gloria, Alice and Ruby. That Ruby loves her so much, it's her grandmother, but there's such an innocence and an awareness of, her grandmother's a little insane, and that's okay, because it's family. And there's a beauty in the way that they played that I love that scene at the house, when we first, when Jonathan first shows up at the house and we reveal, oh my goodness, it's not a young fan, it's this. And just all the little things, of Kerry giving Jonathan the wild turkey and the drink, and then the cheese whiz on the cracker, all these wonderful things that Gloria just, I think she embodied it, and she really pulled it off. I think it's beautiful.
And I'm going to jump to a couple questions here in the Q&A so we don't forget about them over here. Jamie inquires is about the main character's grandma, and was she Native American? Thank you for including an Indigenous actress in the production, and do you know what tribe she was from? And then we already answered the latter portion of that question.
I'll let Kerry handle that one.
Oh, I don't think that Alice was Native American, right? But I am actually from the Oglala Lakota Sioux tribe, and yeah, so.
Excellent. And Kendra inquires here, who is Kerry's favorite sister? There. Oh, she's just kidding.
Kendra.
Yeah, there we go. Well answered.
The one and only.
And what was your favorite scene in the film? Kerry, maybe we'll inquire of all of our actors here. Kerry, what was your favorite scene to film?
My favorite scene to film was probably the bowling scene. That was really fun because I was really showing off my chops. Hidden talent comes out. Yeah, it was just fun. It was a fun scene, easy.
Was it? Did you hit a pin?
Me?
Yeah, you made it seem like it.
Come on.
I thought you were a stunt double. I thought a stunt double was on the wall.
That was all me.
All right.
All me. My fantastic skills. However, James was like doing pretty good towards the end.
You were terrific. You did say you were going to whoop my ass. I seem to remember.
I did, yeah. I did kind of. I wasn't going to say
rather
anything
surprised
about
when
that,
I got a couple of strikes at the top end, but of course,
Yeah.
naturally, for the purposes of storytelling, I was only shown to be a complete duffer at it.
James, what was the most fun that you had on filming the project?
Oh my goodness me! I don't know. I mean, I went through it half asleep. I have no idea what was happening to me, really. There were many wonderful moments for me in the film, and every day was a revelation. I had a fantastic time shooting the picture, and mainly because one is, you're working with such receptive and talented and intelligent artists, as well as a director with whom you have complete artistic accord with. I mean, it was, every scene was a revelation and developed in the way that one hoped it would. It was relatively easy for me, I have to say. I never felt alarmed or frightened or unsure of what the direction was going to be with the scene, and only ever surprised by the fact that so much got packed into it.
Yeah. The while we're talking about Jonathan, did we Andrew, did you include the Downton Abbey joke in the script, or was that something that was added later as a little
Oh
joke?
no, it was always a joke. Always a joke with James.
Always a joke.
Always a joke. But Dustin, I have to hear it because it's a great question. I have to hear I have to hear Aaron's favorite scene because I'm
favorite part. Yep.
fascinated right now to know.
What could it be, Aaron? Pick one.
Bro. I might have been the moment. Oh man, this is tough. I love our dinner scene with the balls, but I think my favorite part was Tiny Hammer in the house. That whole moving thing. Let's get him a drink. Hey, Richie, where's our stuff, man? Hey, yo, that's fine. What's up, man? You good? You like all of that with the moving. I love that scene, but probably my favorite moment. And thank you, Andrew, for. You're an incredible director, man, and you let me play with your script, man, and you just like, thank you, man, and just like, thank you. And when we walk into the house and there was a Chagall, remember there was a Chagall, an original Chagall on the wall, and literally he said, all right, Aaron, improvise this whole corridor until you hit this mark, then fall into the lines. And I said, okay. I said, yeah, if you check over here, we got an original Chiggle over here, And James's face dropped during the scene. It was like, this is a Chagall. Like, I'm this guy from like left field, like the rat, who dragged the cat in, like what the cat dragged in, it's like, where are you from kind of thing. So that was one of my favorite reactions, but they're playing with him in that moment. But the music video was one of my favorites because I just got to let loose, and definitely that outside scene where you really see Tiny Hammer, you move into Tiny Hammer, and then that music video, you get it. You're like, all right, we got who this guy is, moving on. So, yeah. The Muppet Christmas, bro, there's so much. I don't have a favorite because the Muppet Christmas Carol, Andrew, that was brilliant, dude. That was brilliant.
That was good.
When you wrote there, when you
That's
were like,
great.
oh, you never see Muppet Christmas Carol? That kind of thing. And then when it like breaks Dennis, when he's like, wait, they didn't write that? But it felt so real. Like his whole like life is broken in that moment. Just brilliant, man.
Well, I found it poetic that James had Kerry watch Educating Rita, and that was starring Ebenezer Scrooge. So there was this whole kind of connection.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a lot of literary allusion in the film. I mean, I loved Andrew's idea of having Jonathan always being mistaken for somebody who'd appeared in, let's be clear, Downtown Abbey. Downtown Abbey. And the only person who gets it right is, of course, Svetlana, who's Downton Abbey,
That is true. Yeah. Dan inquires, did James and Aaron do any fun off-camera rapping?
He tried.
He tried.
In fact, we did do a bit. We did do a bit.
We did. I wrote a song while we were on set just for fun in my room called James Bond. And they call him James Bond. And I wanted him to come in and be like, I'm James Bond. Yeah.
Morning, Money Penny. James Bond. Yeah. We did. Like, we did try it out.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to sample that. That was great.
Yeah.
Oh, too perfect.
I think you got the point because I can do a pretty partial. Sean Connery, God rest his soul, is no longer with us.
Sean.
I'm making myself another cup of coffee, guys, because you have to. Because I'm right on the edge here, just explaining to everybody that for me, I'm 8 hours ahead. It is now 5:28 in the morning here in London.
Get your coffee, James.
AM.
Commitment to this Q&A. Fabulous. Dean has a question for Aaron here. It says, great performance. Dennis is part court jester, part conscience of the king. How easy is it for a performer to balance those extremes?
Yo, I'm not gonna lie. When I saw that question 20 minutes ago, I had to look up "Conscience of the King." You know, I'm not gonna lie, because I was like, "Yo, how am I gonna answer this question?" So, if I understand you correctly, Dean, you know, in Hamlet, he says, "The play is the thing wherein I'll catch the conscience of the king." He means that he will use a dramatic performance to test whether his uncle Claudius is guilty of murdering Hamlet's father. To answer the question, part court jester, I think I naturally come off court jester. You know, like I've played the jester before, you know, like I think I don't think Tiny Hammer has an angle. I think he's just going along for the ride. I wasn't like, when I read these scenes, I wasn't like, yeah, I gotta see if he's guilty or not. I think he's one of those guys who's like, yeah, Reginald's cat died and stuff, so we're back here now. Can I help you with anything, man? Okay, cool. You let us know if you need anything. He doesn't have an angle. There's no like secret whatever motivation or whatever. So to balance those extremes, honestly, I didn't even have that in mind. I was literally just playing, okay, I cannot make this guy come off douchey. I have to play him like he is just so full of love and welcoming and acceptance, and let the audience determine whatever that is. So that's so cool that you see that in the performance. That's cool.
The truth is that Tiny Hammer has a lot of holes in his brain, but the holes are filled with love.
There it is.
Oh, that was
we need to get you a mic. We get the mic drop and the Q&A just ends.
wow, beautiful. Okay.
I'll put that in my next song.
Can I ask, Andrew, in the writing of the film, there are so many unique situations and unique characters. Were they, and you obviously talked to James, you had the idea of the kind of push of you know, someone going to somewhere else and meeting other people. How did you kind of determine the variety of people that that Jonathan would meet, and are they based on people you know, living in small town somewhere?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it is sort of thinking about sort of the humor that can come from the fish out of water. You know, knowing James not only as a wonderful actor and a collaborator, but just as a great friend. Honestly, it came from me thinking, okay, if I brought James to Spokane, and I thought about the places I could take him just as a person, as a human being, what might take place? And so, of course, a little bit exaggerated, of course, for our filmic purposes, but you know, you think of Joe Hartzler, who played the amazing motel clerk, you know, and all these sort of one-off characters that just really embody sort of the quirkiness that a small town can have. I would say it was knowing that I could put James in awkward situations and just loving the fact that he had to, James, don't kill me right now, but he would have to literally have to survive it.
Okay.
Especially that motel. I know that motel was brutal.
Motel was, whoa.
It seems like a reality TV show as much as it is.
It could be. We could send the two of them into a reality show for sure. But then you start to think, you know, the fun of the Tiny Hammer character, the fun of the Ruby character. And I do have to say, I mean, as a filmmaker, as a writer as well, you know, you create these things in your head and you hope there's something out there that can bring them to life in the way that you had. And when I saw Kerry's audition and Aaron's audition, it was like, that rarely happens, where it's literally the people that you wrote in your head are there. They're bringing it to life, and I'm so grateful to them because they brought it to life in exactly the way that I hoped. So kudos to Kerry and Aaron as well. Amazing stuff.
Well, and it seems awfully early to ask this question, as it's just been birthed into the world in essence. But what's next for the film? Are you are working on distribution? Is there kind of pathway that how can we continue following the success of this and perhaps even encouraging it as an audience?
Thanks. That's a good question. We do have our agents, so we're looking at distribution, sales and distribution, and possibly some festivals over in Europe as well. So that's where we are with it at the moment. Of course, this is our first offering to the world, and it's a great platform to do that.
Yeah. Is there a website that we might be linked to it from the SIFF.net page?
All those small things, movie.com.
Great. I'll drop it in the chat here in just a second. Yeah, of course. That's great. And what's next for the rest of you, just to so we can keep our eyes open? Aaron, do you have projects in the hopper right now that are coming out soon?
Yeah, I got some wild stuff, bro. I got some wild stuff, bro. It's not even ready.
Don't send him on this path. Don't send him on this path. Oh
No,
my
you don't want to go down this path. Where you asked for it,
Maybe
man.
about 2 things. You get only 2.
All right, I got a lead in a sci-fi movie coming out opposite Lance Henriksen. That's gonna be like my first lead. I play like a medieval knight, modern day medieval knight. Director Dan Lance, he's watching this right now. It's a really good, like PG-13 kind of superhero movie. And the other one, I have a documentary about my life.
Excellent.
I'm gonna leave it at that.
Your life.
Say what?
Something you're producing, or is that someone else?
I am one of the So I worked with this director on this other movie, Pledge. So he's the director on that one. I am one of the producers on it as well. I wrote a song for it as well, and we also have a music video for it as well. It's wild. Like I'm ready for people to see it. If they don't think I'm insane already, they're gonna think after. So whatever. It's all good. I'm embracing me. So.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, we're gonna have to scour the internet looking for more information on that.
Oh no, that's under wraps right now, actually. So
okay,
we're keeping that under wraps
Don't
right
look
now.
on the internet for anything.
Nobody's gonna know anything.
I want that to be executed the right way. Like I don't want to be preliminary because every role I try to pour my heart and soul into it. And this one we really went deep and really went vulnerable and stuff. And I know that a lot of people can see me as someone who's an over the top personality, and I am. You know what I mean? But that's still me. You know what I mean? So we get deep and stuff. So I'm just happy to be as an actor like Nikkei. Thank you for casting me in this. And just as an actor, you take so many L's. You audition so many times. You hustle. They don't see you up till 3 o'clock in the morning getting off book for 7 pages, 9 pages, whatever stuff. They don't see that. They only see the Instagram feed. So don't believe the hype, guys. Like this is a big win for me and for all of us, man. I'm just grateful for it. So.
Yeah. Well, Aaron, your soul shows through. It's a beautiful, beautiful performance, and a really, exceptional opportunity to see your breadth as a performer. Congratulations.
The dream come true, man. Who gets to play a role like this? Dream come true, 100%.
Carrie, what's next for you?
I got a couple things coming out. I just wrapped up filming with a Apple TV series that should come out in the fall. And I have a feature film called Heartland, and that's about the Dakota Access Pipeline protests in 2016. That hopefully will be hitting festivals soon. And I think that's about it there. I have some stuff on Netflix right now. I was in Ratched and Hollywood, Ryan Murphy projects, and so just keeping on,
Yeah, well, that's absolutely going to push Ratched to the top of my post SIFF viewing, because I've been meaning to watch it because I love Sarah Paulson like crazy, and
it's fun. It's a fun show.
Now I've even
great show
to see it. Oh, you do such an exquisite job embodying Ruby. It's obviously late enough that my tongue has stopped working. But really an exceptional performance, and seeing the shift from the first time we see you to, literally you with your face on his hand toward the end when you needed him there, was the like, well done. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I was really great working with Andrew. He's a super actor friendly director, and one of the things that I really liked about him was he sent me like music. So just it was a couple songs that he listened to a lot when he was trying to find out Ruby's backstory, and that was really helpful. It's a way to quickly kind of get into the writer's mind when you're working on a character. So we did a lot of things like that. I think we were on the phone at least once a week up until filming. So it's great.
Yeah. James, what's next for you? Do you have another project with Andrew in the hopper? Did you guys come up with another one while you were shooting this one?
Andrew is full of ideas. Next for me, and well, it would be the greatest pleasure if Andrew and I were to collaborate again on the future, and it's certainly in my mind, and I think it's in Andrew's mind as well. I would love. I could ask for nothing more than to remain a muse for Andrew, as it were. What's next for me? Well, currently on Netflix, I've got a couple of shows that are out there. One is Arcadia Wizards, an animation for DreamWorks, which I am King Arthur. Oh. And also on Netflix is Tribes of Europa, which is dystopic sci-fi set in 2074. And the subject of that is the breakdown of Europe, which is particularly close to my heart in that I am a citizen of the UK, and we have decided to exit from Europe, which has caused me personally a great deal of pain. Just before Christmas, I shot a movie called Never Back Down, Revolt. It involves 2 Chechen cage fighters, myself and 22 beautiful girls. And I look forward to that release for Sony. And I'm joining. Well, sorry?
I think that's the best tagline I've ever heard for a movie. Cage fighter.
And I joined
in 22 beautiful women, whatever it was.
I'm joining in 4 hours' time a new show for Apple TV called Embankment, which is the first of a series of novels by Mick Herron, who is credited with being the new John le Carré. Except the difference between Mick Herron and John le Carré is that Mick Herron never served in military intelligence and secret services, so he's created his own world, the park where all the sharp, shiny, bright spies work, and Slough House, where they send all the screw-ups. And the casting on that is quite interesting. It's Gary Oldman, Kristen Scott Thomas, Jonathan Pryce, Saskia Reeves, and I think will be a headliner for next year. Excellent. I am the ghost of MI5 past, effectively.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Well, I'm so delighted to have you as the center of this extraordinary solar system that has been created. You really, you ground this film in such nuance and such, horror and wonder and kind of bemused delight. And thank you so much for your commitment to Andrew's vision and for bringing it.
Well, Dustin, thank you very much. And if I could just say now that we're very fortunate that Rebel Cat saw the possibilities for this film, Rebecca Petriello and Nikkei Imoru, and they got behind the picture in terms of production and finance, and I'm extremely grateful and will always be grateful to Andrew and his partner, Caleb Applegate, for having the confidence to write a story essentially specifically for me, and to give me the space as a performer to go in an entirely different direction. Yeah. I usually play the hard ass. I'm very often the villain and things, and to be given a script where there is genuine stillness at the center, to do some the sort of work that I'm not often asked to do was wonderful and a privileged position to be in. And thank you, all of you.
Yeah.
Thank you, James.
And speaking of Rebel Cat, Nikkei, what's next for Rebel Cat and your work?
Well, I should say there's Rebel Cat and there's Nikkei, and what's next for Nikkei is a lot of sleep.
What?
What's next for Rebel Cat is seeing this movie through to all sorts of wonderful spaces and places, distribution and sales, and then probably some more projects as well. So we're really excited. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to see what's next as far as for this film especially, but then as well, once you find that next special project that's like, yep, here it comes. Here's the next one. I'm very excited for it. Thank you for all the work you do and across our Seattle, Washington State film community, as well as Portland and all the variety of places that you engage. But you are a gift to our film community here, and a valued member of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Andrew, what about you? Beyond writing, continuing all those small things cinematic universe that of sequels and all that sort of thing that I'm sure you're working on.
Sure, yeah. Other than the spinoff of Tiny Hammer and Svetlana, yeah, the NBC sitcom, sure.
Oh man.
It's a great. There's so much, Dustin. It's hard to even. I'm actually, I'm up here in Vancouver shooting a film. We're on day 20 of 30 at the moment, and a beautiful film, true story about a doctor that's one of the world's most famous doctors that survived a very tough time in China during the 60s and 70s and immigrated to America with $50 in his pocket and has gone on to really change the world. So, I'm excited. It's a 60% all Mandarin speaking cast, and that's what I'm shooting at the moment up here. But there's always stuff, as I'm sure everybody on this call can say, there's always something happening, and it's I'm grateful to that. It's what a blessing that we get to do this for a living. We get to tell stories. We get to share wonderful things with the world, wonderful stories with the world. So I just want to wrap my segment kind of bit with just I'm so grateful for everybody on this call. This cast and the crew that we had, and just the vision of being able to make a film even in Washington, just everything, the fact that we have the ability to make a film in Washington State, all these things, like what a gift. And so I just want to say I'm just thankful for everybody, and that we have an audience that's willing to kind of, what a weird world we're in, but they're willing to come on virtually and watch a film and talk about it. Amazing. So I just want to say thank you to everybody for that.
Yeah. Well, and Andrew, thank you to you. Your brainchild, your vision, your creativity, and your commitment to storytelling is evident in every frame of all those small things. And I cannot wait to go. I actually have not seen the some of the other films in your filmography, and they're maybe before Ratched, maybe after Ratched, we'll see. But I know
you can pick Kerry first. It's fine. I'm not.
But I know to go and engage with is Paul was it the second apostle? I don't remember the full title.
Yeah, Paul Apostle Christ for Sony Pictures.
Christ.
Yeah. Thank you.
And not just for James's extraordinary beard, which I have seen photos of.
It's a doozy. It's a big one.
It's quite something. But there's a beautiful voice and a soul to the stories that you tell, and I can't wait to see what you've previously made, and admittedly whatever is coming. Please continue sharing it with us. We cannot wait to see what any of you make next. So
thank you, Dustin. Thank you.
Yay.
Yes, and thanks, Dustin.
Yay.
Thank you, Dustin.
Thank you all for watching at home, and for staying up late or getting up early for us. And we love you all. Thank you. Thank you for being a part of the journey of the birth of all those small things into the world. So thank you, everyone. And
Thank you.
it's really wonderful
Cheers. Thank
to
you,
with all
Dustin.
you beautiful people on this call. Yay.
Okay. Cheers. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.